Hello everybody, a very warm welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica, and today we're filming an update on my 2022 Pan That palette, which is none other than the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. I know, it's so original. Everyone and their mother is panning this palette, and I am one of them. It's my first year ever doing a Pan That palette series, and it has been quite an interesting experiment for me so far. I really have been enjoying it. We're getting towards the end of the year with this project now, and I'm starting to feel like I'm losing a little bit of steam, but I'm also continuing to make great progress and big strides, and that is very motivating for me to just keep forward, full steam ahead through the end of this year. I always include a little montage at the end of the video showing the progression of this palette month by month as we've gone through this year. So stay tuned till the end for that satisfying video for you. On the shorter term, here's what my palette was looking like last month. I was very thrilled to have completed my second shade last month in Primavera. My goals for the past month were quite ambitious. I was trying to use up Vermeer entirely, as well as the remainder of Golden Ochre. I also wanted to use each shade at least 2 times, and I had Raw Sienna as my focus shade for the past month. And here's what my palette is looking like today. So take some good looks there. You will see some very big jumps that we have made. We're gonna go through each of these shades one by one and update you on how many times I've used them in the past month, used them total during the span of this project, and show you the pan comparisons on each one. I'll go ahead and skip over Tempera. As you can see, that one is empty. It's been empty for a while now. I had 109 total uses on that shade to empty it out. And we'll just skip right on over to Golden Ochre. It was my goal to use up the remainder of this eyeshadow during the past month. Here's what it was looking like last month after 54 uses in this project. I used it an additional 16 times, making for a total of 70 uses in this project, and here's what it's looking like today. And it is indeed completely empty. This shade was so close to my skin color that it was no problem putting it into my crease as like the very first blending shade on a pretty much daily basis. And that's how I used up the remainder of that shade. And I'm just so happy to have another empty in this palette. And that brings us right next to Vermeer, which was my other goal shade. Here's what it was looking like last month after 77 total uses in this project, mostly as an inner corner, but then as a highlight shade for my face. I used it an additional 20 times during the past month, making for a total of 97 uses. And we did indeed empty out that pan as well. There it is this month, completely empty. And I just feel so satisfied to now have 4 empty pans in this palette. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't think we would get there as quickly as we did, but that's something I'm really learning that I love about this project, is that the accumulation over such a long amount of time really starts to compile, and all of a sudden you're making these big jumps where you didn't necessarily anticipate it. So that it feels really good. It just feels like all of my efforts have been paying off, and we have another empty shade and another goal met. The updates aren't going to be nearly as exciting from now on, but we will update you all the same. So the next shade is Buon Fresco. Here's what this shade was looking like last month after 45 uses in this project. I was able to use it 4 times in the past month, which isn't great, but I'm happy I at least reached for it more than twice, which is my goal for all of the shades. And here's what it was looking like this month. Hopefully you'll see a minor expansion in that pan after 4 uses. I definitely want to focus on this shade during one of these months because I know that I can make some major progress on it if I just devote my time to it. Moving over, we have Antique Bronze. This has been a neglected shade in this project, but one that I'm really starting to enjoy and finding interesting ways to use it, thanks to some great tips and pieces of advice from some of you viewers. So thank you so much for encouraging me there. Here's what this shade was looking like last month after 9 uses in this project. And I reached for it just 2 times in the past month. So we now have 11 total uses on this shade, and here's what it's looking like today. I don't know if you'll see much of a difference in that pan, but I really have been focusing on that center dip when I use this shade. So it might be a teensy bit bigger, hopefully. That is another shade I would really like to focus on because it's been so neglected in the span of this project. Just 11 uses is kind of pathetic, so I would really like to give a good commitment to it during one of these months and see some major changes on it. Moving on to Love Letter, here's what that shade was looking like last month after 21 uses in this project. In the past month, I reached for it an additional 4 times, making for a total of 25 total uses, and here's what it's looking like today. This shade is quite pigmented, and even though I reached for it 5 times, I don't think you'll see much of a change in that pan. But that's okay by me. I'm just happy to know that I'm getting a steady amount of use on it. I'm sure that if we continue to use this shade consistently, that we will see a good expansion of that pan before the year is up. The last shade in this row is Cypress Umber. Here's what it was looking like last month after 51 uses in this project. In the past month, I reached for it an additional 5 times, mostly as an upper lash liner, as well as a deepening shade here and there. So it has 56 total uses now in this project, and it's looking like this. And it's getting really crumbly on the side. It's actually quite low in the pan, if you can tell. And this pan is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm really hoping that we can make some major progress on that one too before this year's up. I just love that chocolate brown shade. I don't know why, it's just a brown, but there's something special about this brown for me, and I really enjoy it. I just find it really easy to use and very effective. And I would love to get a more impressive pan on that before year's up. Moving down to the second row, we have Raw Sienna, which was my focus shade for the past month. I had been neglecting it quite a bit in this project, and I wanted to get a good solid month on it. Here's what it was looking like last month with 27 uses in this project. I reached for it 11 times, so not great for it being a focus shade, but a lot better than I had been doing on this shade previously during this year. So it now has 38 total uses on this shade. Here's what it's looking like today. And I definitely think you will see a larger pan on that shade, which was what I was going for. I wanted to at least catch it up with burnt orange. I would love for this to be a shade that I finish up completely during the span of this project, so we'll be focusing on that again soon. Moving on to burnt orange, here's what the shade was looking like last month after 57 uses in this project. I only reached for this shade 3 times during the past month. It definitely got neglected because I was reaching for Raw Sienna a lot more, and they're pretty similar shades for me. So here's what it's looking like this month after 3 more uses, 60 total uses in this project. Maybe it's slightly larger. That would be very nice, but I'm not very hopeful about that. But I would love to focus on that one very soon and make major progress, major pan in that shade. That's another shade that I can definitely see myself finishing up entirely before this project's over. We'll skip over Primavera. That was empty last month. I had emptied it with a total of 86 uses in this project. So we'll just skip right on over to Golden Ochre. So here's what Golden Ochre was looking like last month. I had used this shade just 14 times during this project, but I'd reached for it a lot before bringing this palette into my Pan That Palette project. In the past month, I just reached for it that 2 times. That was my goal, and here's what it's looking like this month with 16 total uses in this project. And something about this shade is quite crumbling, quite powdery. I mean, typical of the Anastasia Beverly Hills mattes. It has a lot of kick up when you use it, and you see a lot of changes when you reach for it just one time. I've used this a few times as a deepening shade. It really does buff out to a beautiful like rusty brown color, and I've also used it a few times as a base, like all over the lid, and that works really nice to just pile shimmers on top of as like a nice warm base. I've enjoyed it that way quite a bit. And I forgot to mention real quick that Love Letter is in my look today. It's very gently in my outer V and really buffed in just to give a nice deep tone of pink to this already very peachy pink look, if you're wondering. Next we have Venetian Red, one of my least favorite shades in this palette. I don't know, there's something about it. I just don't vibe with it very well. Here it was last month after 21 total uses in this project, and in the past month I reached for it the minimum of 2 times. So it's looking like this today. I doubt you'll see much of a difference there. This one just doesn't show a lot of difference when you use it. It's quite pigmented, similar to Love Letter and Realgar. It now has 23 uses in this project, and that's just one that I'm going to continue to get my minimum amount of use on each month. I'm not going to be focusing on that at any point. We'll just see how far we can get with it. Next we have Warm Taupe. Here's what this shade was looking like last month after 59 uses in this project. I've been mostly using it in my brows and then as a contour shade, but in the past month I only reached for it an additional 3 times, so I now have 62 total uses on this shade, and here's what it's looking like today. And I don't think you'll see much of a difference there. I was really religious about using this as a contour shade for at least a month or 2, but I wasn't really seeing the change on it that I wanted to see, and that kind of discouraged me. I've also been feeling overwhelmed with contour and bronzers in my other project pans, so I just thought piling on another shade to my cheeks was just really not helping any effect. If anything, just making my makeup look more heavy, and it's just not the best look for the summer month season. So I'm hoping that in these colder months ahead I will be more into a contoured look and reaching for that in that method a few more times and getting some good solid progress on that pan, because I would love to see a bigger pan in this before the year is up. And our very last shade in the palette is Realgar, that beautiful pigmented orange. And it is the time of year for that shade to shine. So we are really gonna try and reach for that one a few more times in the next couple months in these nice fall, autumn months when you want those warm tones all up in your crease. Here's what it was looking like last month after 40 uses in this project. I'm really surprised this doesn't have better wear on it for how many times I have used it. It's just such a pigmented shade. It's really hard to show progress on. I've used it 5 times in the past month, making for a total of 45 total uses during this project. And here's what it was looking like today. And I highly doubt that even with 5 more uses, you'll see much of a change in that size of that pan. It's just a really slow going one, but I really enjoy using it. It's not going to discourage me. I'm going to continue to reach for it, but I'm really not hopeful about seeing major progress on that pan before the year is up. No matter how many times I use it, I feel like I could use it 100 times and still would barely show a dent. So those are all my shades to update you on. I met all of my goals. I used up Vermeer, I used up Golden Ochre, I used all the shades at least 2 times, and I really did focus on Raw Sienna with 11 uses. I mean, not amazing, but not too bad. And I definitely think I can continue to do good work on that shade in the next few months of this project. We only have 4 more months to go. How far am I gonna get? Realistically, I think by the end of the year, I can definitely finish these 2 shades. I don't think I'm gonna finish anything down here. Maybe Bon Fresco, but I'm really gonna push to see how big I can get these pans before the year's up. But even if I just finish half of that palette, I'm gonna feel pretty darn good about that, and it's gonna be a win for me for my first ever Pan That Palette project. This has been really fun to do. I'm definitely thinking about doing it again next year. Have a few palettes in mind. I'm gonna have you all help me pick them in some type of way. So look forward to that video or poll or something coming soon. I've also made some great progress on the amount of product that I used just since the last update. So last update, this was weighing 183.28 grams, and this month is weighing 182.42 grams. So I used 0.86 grams of eyeshadow, almost an entire gram, which I think is pretty shocking. I think using so much of Vermeer as a face highlight really helped me jump forward in the amount of product I used. I definitely was piling on Golden Ochre quite significantly as well, and just reaching for all the other shades. You know, every little usage counts and adds to that weight total. So I'm really excited about just making such a big jump. And I've used 2.22 grams of this palette just since I started weighing it, which was just a couple months ago. I just recently started doing that, which I think is just a fun little number to share with all of you. You know, I love the numbers. I'm a data gal. It's the scientist in me. You see it. So of course we have some goals for the next month as well. It definitely helps to keep me motivated to set little goals for myself and just keep me focused month by month. So I'm gonna up my ante a little bit for the next update. I mean, especially since we're getting less and less shades to work on, I'm now gonna try and use all the shades at least 3 times. I know, whoa, like from 2 to 3, I'm crazy, but I'm gonna try it. I was thinking about doing 4. I'm gonna try for 3 at least this time. Maybe we'll go for more in the future. And I'm also going to try and focus on burnt orange. That will be my focus shade for the next month. I'm going to really try and expand that pan and get a nice fatty, hefty pan on there. If not, get really close to finishing it up, because I do really want to finish that shade up at least in the next 2 months, maybe 3, before this year is over for sure. So I'm really going to focus on that shade and see how much progress I can make on it. And I'm going to try and use Antique Bronze at least 5 times. Because it has been so neglected during the span of this project, I'm going to give it a month of a little bit of extra attention, and I think 5 uses is definitely doable and will hopefully get me a bigger progress shot when I look at the size of that pan next month. That is all I have for you today. A quick update on my ABH Modern Renaissance palette. I'm very looking forward to the next couple months, just staying motivated, setting those little goals for myself, and finding ways to really just go full steam ahead through the remainder of this project and see how far we can get before the year is up. Speaking of, when do people do finales for Pan That palettes? I guess I could look at previous years, but just wondering what the community sees out there. Do people do this at the beginning of December? Do they wait until the end of December? Do they wait until January 1st to do the final update? I guess it's totally up to the creator, but I wanted to get a little bit of just guidance from all of my friends out there who helped me out so much. If you're here till the very end of the video, please leave a little autumn emoji, maybe a leaf, maybe the wheat, I don't know. Do whatever you are feeling. I'm just so happy to see all the fall vibes in the comments. And I think this palette is really entering its prime time to shine. These fall months are just screaming for oranges and reds and warm browns, and I think that this palette is going to deliver with that, and we are going to see the fruits of my labor in my next update. So I hope you're here for it. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed this update, please give it a thumbs up. And I just cannot wait to see you all in my next video. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.